welcome for another episode of Unfiltered and Intentional. Yay! We're going to talk about a great topic because we're representing for a month. Yeah, a good month, Pride Month. Today's topic is what does pride mean to you? We're going to talk about what it means to you. If you don't know what it means, uh, just the whole alphabet, actually. But just at the end of the day, um, we have a guest, special guest, to kind of talk with us. Liz, you can go ahead and introduce our nice guest.
All right. Well, happy Sunday, everybody. Before we even dive into that, I do want to say happy Father's Day to the fathers. It was a big, big day. So I hope that you guys were all treated the way that you should have been treated.
Yes.
And here, joining the show for the first time, we have Mr. Kenny. All right. And so
Hello.
Kenny and I go back a couple years. He's somebody I have a lot of respect for, a deep admiration for, maybe a little more than he knows.
Okay.
And I think that he's going to share a little of his personality, a little of insights, and I thought he'd be a great person to kind of have this conversation with and get a little unfiltered with. So if you guys have questions, again, the only thing that we ask is that you keep it respectful, always, always, always. But let's get unfiltered. Back to
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. So thank you for that intro. I'm glad you mentioned it. I was just talking about Father's Day a second ago about how my husband is out there grilling still on Father's Day, but it's his day, so go ahead and do you. So I definitely want to give a shout out before we get into to all the good fathers out there, all the
Mhm.
fathers that are trying. Just happy Father's Day, stepfathers, uncles that call themselves dad, whatever you are. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You don't get the respect that you need. So just to kind of get into it, we are talking about pride, and this just happens to be the month of June, and we're celebrating the LGBTQ. And there's some other letters which we'll talk about to add to that. I forget sometimes. There's a lot of different
There's a
letters.
lot of letters.
I don't know. I don't know the
So I
letter.
just wanted to go ahead and just drop a little bit of knowledge real quick, just in case somebody's like, "Well, what does pride mean?" I know personally people who have no idea um, what that significance is. So this is just a standard uh, dictionary version of what the internet is saying. The word pride is an important cultural concept within the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex community. So that's LGBTQI. And I think even though this is just stopping there, there are some more letters to be added. Community representing solidarity, collectivity, and identity, as well as resistance to discrimination and violence. And you know what? At the end of the day, I think the definition is in the meaning of the word pride, to stand up for what you want. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is who I am, be proud of who you are, and keep it moving, and love me for who I am. But we have somebody here, a special guest, and I wanted to bring you on just because there are a lot of nuances. You know, the topic of same sex relationships, for some strange reason, even to this day, is still a taboo topic to many. And you would think in 2024 it wouldn't be. There's a lot of different things that have happened in the community where it's like you take two steps forward and then you get pushed back. Um, Same thing in the African American community. You take two steps forward and you get some steps back.
Right.
So, in reference to just being the year 2024, where do you see the community going? How far do you think that you guys have came? And do you feel that you've gotten pushed back some?
Thank you, Kia and Liz, for having me. First of all, and let me say today's been a quiet day for me, but I did call my dad, and I do want to say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. I do have probably one of the best dads in the entire world. So just a amazing person. So I do want to shout that out. He's a good man. So Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there for sure. Um, Thank you all for having me. Yeah, looking back, being the age that I am, I'm not going to tell you guys how old I am. I probably look like I'm in my early 20s, 30s, maybe.
Early 20s
I'm
for
a little bit,
sure.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit older than that. A little bit older than that. We've come a long way. We've come a long way. Back when I was probably in my teens and early 20s, we hid. Everyone hid. We did not go out public. We did not do what the kids are doing today. It's very different. It's been a long journey. I've always pretty much been out in my community at work and stuff like that. but I'm not one of those guys, and I'll say that I'm not one of those who wear it across my, across my sleeve. Like, hey, I just don't do that, because my hope and prayer is that one day we don't have to, because we're just all treated equal. That's always the hope for me, is that one day we don't have to have Pride Month, as we do a Black History Month and things like that, because we just want to always be treated the same, no matter, race, gender, color, anything like that. We all want to one day be treated the same. I always say to people, it's about equal rights for me. It's not about, the word marriage. People get caught up in that word, they can't get, it's not about the marriage or the word for me. It's about, I just want to be treated equal and have the same rights as everybody else. That's all it is for me, and it's all it's ever been really for me. But like I said, we've come a long way. Kids nowadays don't even know what some of us older ones have done and have been through and had to hide and that kind of stuff, and just kind of live our life on the DL. So, we've come a long way, and I'm hopeful. I always say this about our community, as well as the Black community, as well as LGBTQIA, whatever other letters you said.
All the
Got to
letters.
throw in there.
All the letters.
All the letters. Is that, to me, first of all, it starts within the community, accepting each other, getting along with each other, because there's so many different silos, and you know how that is. Black community, gay community, there's so many different silos. And I think the way to start is within the community itself, and get along and respect each other, and it starts there, and then it just filters out. But now you have things like allies. What's an ally? An ally is a straight person that supports the gay community. It's called an ally, and we have a lot more allies now, and so it has moved quite a bit, further along than what it was. So we have come along.
Okay.
Okay. So, yeah, let's throw a couple comments up. It's just
okay, got the eyes.
I think we were like a minute late. He was calling us out. That's what that was.
Okay.
Somebody said finger snapping. Hey, family.
Yes. So there's a good evening, everyone. And then I guess as you were speaking, when you mentioned, just kind of getting to a point where we don't need special months, I think he was snapping his fingers at that. So Cash said, "Hey, family. Hey, Cash."
Thank you.
And
then, I have some more questions, but you can go ahead, Liz.
Yeah, I have all kinds of questions. Let me see. So just kind of tailing off of what you just said, I know you mentioned you'd hope that one day we get to the point where we don't need a special month for it, and I definitely understand that. But in a perfect world, given everything that's transpired within the community and everything else, would it be, if we got there to the point where everybody's equal, we're 100% accepted, we're good, do we then get rid of the month, which also kind of submerges the history a little bit? And if we do that, don't we always prone to forget and repeat?
That's a good question. No, I when I say things like, I hope that we get there, I don't think that the month will ever go away. I don't think that the month of Black, I don't think it should ever necessarily go away, because like you said, we have to teach people history. So like you said, it doesn't repeat itself. That's a great point. I think that it should never go away, because I think even younger kids coming up today should know what happened and know the struggle and understand it as well. So no, I don't think it will ever go away. But I want it to be, hopefully get to a time where it's a remembrance. It's this is the month that we used to celebrate because of this, and that. But I think it's always going to be there. Will we ever get there? Honestly, I don't. In this world, I'm not sure about that one.
I mean, now given just how far we've come, just in our lifetimes, and Kenny, I'm with you. I'm in my low 20s. They're still partying. So ignore the gray. But I mean, just from where we've come, just within our lifetime to where we are now, it's been such a monumental change. I mean, it's very mainstream. You know what I mean? Obviously, you're always going to have some people that are just stuck on being stuck. Yeah. I've come to accept that about people. I think they're just stuck on being stuck. They have no intention of progressing. That's just where they want to be. But I think that they're a very, very small and shrinking minority. And, as the generations kind of go along, it's just become kind of part of every day.
I agree with you that people are going to always be stuck, and there are always going to be those. But my hope and prayer always is that they learn to respect people who are not like them. And that's the issue, I think, in a lot of things. It's not about, we have to agree on every single thing. But at the end of the day, we all got to coexist here. Let's respect each other. Let's be respectful. Let's respect other people's boundaries and whatever they are. To the end of the day, that's what I feel like is really the most important. You're not going to get everybody there. That's not going to happen. Let's get everybody to a level of respect of each other.
It's interesting, and I want to talk about the whole respect avenue because I want to say, and I may, ruffle some feathers by saying it, but I feel like this generation is a very sensitive generation.
Ooh, beyond.
And everything has to fit in a certain way. If I make certain facial expressions, hey, what does that mean? Just always looking for that word. Oh, the trigger words. And it makes me think back to comedians, because comedians, their jobs are to make people uncomfortable. They talk about every single thing under God's eyes. And it just so happened just recently we had a lot of things going on with David Chappelle and talking about the transgender community. And he was getting a lot of backlash, and people were trying to ban him and this and this. And it's like, man, now it's David Chappelle, then it's this comedian, and this comedian, and now everybody's kind of like walking on eggshells. And of course, when it comes to respect, in just a normal type of environment, everyone should have respect. But that field within itself, they're known to talk about somebody who's overweight, somebody who has a big foot over a small, that's what they do. How do you feel? And do you feel like it's like the generation going overboard? Where does that cut off? Because it's like, man, we were able to always crack jokes and this, but then in the same breath, I've heard people say, well, that right there just adds to the phobia of people who want to come out, or they add to the suicidal rate of transgender because of the fact of the criticism and the laughing. But I look at it like, well, what about people who get talked about if they're talking about weight? Like, where does that line? It's such a thin, slippery slope.
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, I first of all, I do believe that we have a very sensitive generation. I think it's a very sensitive generation. Everybody has to have a win trophy. Everybody has to get a trophy for participating. I didn't come from that area, era. I didn't come from that. I came from you win or lose, type of thing. And so now, you're absolutely right. I don't have a problem with the jokes and stuff. Within my friends and community, we say lots of things that are very offensive, probably, but funny to us. Like you said, comedians are they're supposed to go over the line and draw the line and that kind of stuff. And I get it. And I always like it. And I don't like to make this sound whatever. But us as Black people, they make a lot of Black jokes on comedians, and we're late. And it's funny. Everyone just laughs at it, and fried chicken and what they always got something to say, and we just kind of most of us just laugh and go with it. I want us to get there. The younger generation doesn't seem as willing, it seems, to get there. But what a great question. I don't, we are too sensitive. The generation now are way too sensitive. And for me, they're not going to make it in the real world.
Facts.
Because at the end of the day, the real world don't care.
Right.
They don't care.
Right.
They're not gonna stop. And I see people on these videos and TikToks and stuff when somebody accidentally calls them, well, thank you, ma'am, because you look like a girl, and you're a girl, or vice versa. Well, thank you. So, well, I'm not a sir. And then they get all, and so I'm of that, absolutely. I want to respect you, but if I make a mistake, give me some grace.
Right.
What I'm
saying?
One comment, give me some grace.
Yes.
Like, I don't know. Like, we don't know. Give me some grace.
So, all right. Nira said, are allies really a plus, though? As allies typically are friends during time of war and turmoil.
Yeah, I saw that question come up. They are a plus, in my opinion. When you think back about history in general, as Black people came up, we needed white people.
For sure.
As straight people, as gay people, we need straight. As women, they needed men to further their agenda. So gay people need straight people to further their agenda. It's just one of the old adages. When you look back, Black people came up a lot because white people marched and said, "Hey, this is not right." Same thing in the gay community. We need the straights to say, "Hey," So allies are important, and I think there are a lot of really good ones out there. I'll tell you a quick story. When I lived back in downtown Orlando, right on Orange and Colonial, I remember moving in and going in there, and what I perceived to be a few doors down, and I don't want to sound, well, it's unfiltered, so whatever.
Say it.
What I perceived as kind of redneckish. people living up 3-4 doors down, country, younger kids, and rednecks. And I was a little bit like, gosh, I don't want to be living this close. And I was already in my mind so judgmental about these people. Do y'all know they've turned out to be some of my closest friends?
Oh, wow.
And I think, the interesting part of that whole story to me is that, people sometimes don't know what they don't know.
Right.
When you make a friend or you see somebody, you understand we all bleed red and we all want to, do the best we can in society. And so they honestly, still to this day, are some of my very best friends. They just had their second baby. They're just, two of them got married. I mean, it's just a great group of people. But I often think that, my generation, we come off as prejudiced sometimes because I will go to a place and I see certain things. I'm like, oh, I'm not talking to them because they look like they don't, they wouldn't. I judge based on what I see. So,
Well,
go ahead.
I was gonna say everybody has a unseen bias. That's just just a natural thing. Some more than others, and of course, once I talk to you and we lay down those barriers, and like, oh, okay, we come from the same neighborhood. We all have this perceived notation of individuals, but it's really interesting because I see personally, and you can stop me if I'm wrong, but I see personally that when it comes to someone of the same sex liking someone of the same sex, that's a little bit more. People are getting a little bit more comfortable with that idea compared to transgender individuals and that identity, because it's like, okay, today, I'm not even a man nor a woman. I want to be a cat.
Yeah.
Hey, and then you're looking at me like, now what? Now how should I answer? Say meow, please. And then you actually have a group of people. Now, and then that's to say, hey, that has nothing to do with actually that community. That's just somebody who has identity issues. Would you put that in the same category, or is that? I mean,
To me, that's an extremist. To me, they're really extreme. That type of thing. I want to be. No, I just. Once again, I'm a little bit older.
Okay.
So you're talking a lot about the younger group of LGBTQI kids that want to, come out and like you said, they want the right. I mean, I have misgendered people in my own community, not knowing. I've called them the wrong thing because I just didn't know. And like I said, be accepting and graceful. And a lot of them are not. Like you said, they get angry and why? It's like, come on, we don't know. We're learning. We're educating ourselves. And I think that's the key to all of this is just try to get educated at the end of the day about the different letters, as you said, Kia. Right? There's so many of them. What does each letter stand for? So I think that's important that we just educate ourselves on people, but try to be accepting of it at the end of the day and not ridicule and things like that. But that's an extremist to me.
Yeah, I really want to say I agree with you on that one because I unfortunately I know a lot of people who are very old school in their thinking, and on their deathbed, if you told them to call them this, like, please call me this, they would not call you that. Like, even if you're like, hey, my name today, you know how it's like the she, the them, the that, or whatever. Like, they will not say that, and they're like, I won't play those games with you. Your name is Bobby Smith. I'm calling you Bobby Smith, or I'll call you, excuse me, like just not identifying you as a person because you want to play those games.
Now, I do have a question. We're going to get to the comments in a moment, but so where do we draw the line between respecting who you are and respecting, and not you specifically, but this person respecting who that person is, but also this person respecting who the other person is? Because I do think that it's a little unfair that if you pop up with something that is foreign to, my belief structure, if you would, right? And at the core of me, I feel that these things are wrong. Again, that's not me. I'm just asking generally speaking, right? At the core of you, you feel that these things are wrong. Where is the line to be drawn between, well, you have to come to my way or death to you all? I mean, how do we draw that distinction without it becoming a bias or a hate or anything like that? Because you can disagree with somebody and not hate them. Yeah. And I feel like at this point, we've come to a point in society where if you don't agree with the lifestyle, then you're phobic. Yeah. Or you're
you hear that a lot. Anything that disagrees, you're phobic.
Have to be married, and we could just disagree. So I mean, what's your thought on that?
Yeah, so it's a big world. If you ask me, you go to your space, I go to my space. I respect your space, you respect my space. At the end of the day, it's a big world. We don't have to coexist and be up each other's butt. 24/7. We just don't have to do that. That's just the way I feel about it. It's like, you know, I'm gonna go my merry way. I'm gonna go, you know, you go your merry way. I respect you and you respect me. Everybody's not gonna always coexist.
Okay.
Right.
In a small area. I mean, you got to go to your corner of the world, wherever that is, and do the best you can there. At the end of the day, to me, you know, like, you know, you're right. The old school mentality is, you know, you don't agree, then you're phobic. Well, you just don't know, probably. I've learned a lot of those people just don't have a friend that's in the LGBTQIA community. Right. They don't have a friend, or maybe they do, maybe they don't.
I'm gonna have to cut you off real quick, and I'm sorry about that. And then we'll go to the comments. But it's such a juicy conversation because when you said, you know, everybody going to their old space, you know, because not everybody's gonna coexist, which is true. Yeah. It kind of makes me think, like, what bothers me about that is, let's just say right now we're speaking. No one's disrespectful. No one's throwing anything. We're all, you know, being civil. And all of a sudden, someone's job gets the wind of something. Someone gets offended. Or on TV, you see it a lot on TV. Somebody says something, and then you have to do on this national campaign tour of apologies. And then you have to be like, hey, guys, I'm taking classes with the LGBTQP community. I'm sitting here with transgender so-and-so. We're holding hands. And it seems like these people who are on this campaign of apologies, they're like, might lose their job. Like, it's literally cutthroat. Kevin Hart was going to be the host. He's a comedian. They found jokes from his past, pulled them jokes up, was like, if you want this job, which was his long-term, you know, goal, he wasn't even able to do that unless he apologized. Then he apologized. He still, you know, but it's just like, where does that?
Crazy. It's crazy. You know, even with the Kevin Hart thing, Ellen, who's in the LGBTQ community, told him, hey, do the show. You know, don't worry about what you said back then. It's not relevant. Do the show. Right. Because like you said earlier, comedians sometimes go over the line. They do joke. I don't think that he meant it in a malicious way.
Yeah.
But like you say, people are on these apology tours. You know, the difference is, Kia, too, when you live your life in the public eye, you know, when you're a celebrity, it's a different set of rules a lot of times. And at the end of the day, you should be able to say and do what you want. But you're going to lose followers. You're going to lose income. That's on you. That's your choice. But if you're out here on a channel or whatever, and you are saying things that are offensive or offends a group of people,
but everything is offensive.
That's their choice. You know what? I ain't gonna follow you no more. So what?
Right.
I'm not gonna follow you. You know, who cares?
I wish that more people would like you, Kenny, where it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to follow you. But these people, they, instead of just hitting the, you know, unlike button, if there was one, they're now writing to the CEOs, and they want you out of your job. They never want to see you on TV again.
They found the address.
Existence. I feel like in a way that's the reverse of what you're trying to, because what you've done now, you've decided that your beliefs and your way of living is more important.
What Kia said earlier was spot on. We live in an area that people are very sensitive, and that's what that goes back to me. It's like they're just overly sensitized about every little comment or every little thing that comes out. I don't agree with that. I would never want somebody to lose their job for a comment they said 10 years ago. You know, they're a different person now. Maybe they grew. Maybe I don't know that. It's just, you know, I don't agree with that. You know.
So let's see. Nero said, "I think our prejudice is a safety net sometimes. So navigating white spaces as a Black person."
Absolutely, 100% correct. Thumbs up, Nero, whoever that is. That's a good point. It's such a good point. We do our best to guard ourselves. That's such a great point. It's so true, and we just immediately build. Growing up the way we do in this community, we naturally build those walls. Yeah, you know, and that's a great point. It's very true, and I did it. I'm guilty. I'm guilty.
So you said God Sunday evening, y'all. So
I think she meant good Sunday evening to you too.
So Alice said, did these communities always exist, or is this something new?
Good question.
Yeah, I think it's evolved over time. I think they've always existed. I mean, you can go on. I wish I got Darcel Stevens to come on here. I probably could have, but I got her. She was a show director for over 30 years at the Parliament House. And she's been in drag here in the community. She knows everybody in the community. And when it comes to LGBTQIA history, nobody's better about, just what she did. You know, she's in her early 60s now, mid 60s, and just been doing it for a long time. They always existed, but they existed in secret. She'll tell you. You know, they existed in secret for a long time. And as we've become more tolerant and we've gotten more understanding, they've come out a little bit more. Oh, you meant God. I'm sorry. so bad. God, even to you too. I
How
apologize.
how do you feel, or do you have any associates that would be able to that have spoken to you before? Because I always find it interesting when it comes political.
Mm.
Um, when policies get into play and you have someone who doesn't have your best interest in mind um, put these policies out and you're
Yeah.
co-signing it. I know a lot of gay Republicans, and it's very interesting. They would never get on this show just because of the
Yeah.
type of show it is, but I still do know them, and I just find it very interesting. And I just want to know, did you know any? Because it's like when you are, and not saying you can't be a Republican or a Democrat or whoever, but why would you vote against your own interests? Like why? you know, so you have this discrimination, you have these laws, there's certain things you can't do. We're fighting
Mhm.
for this. The Supreme Court may reverse some shit, all types of things that may happen. But in the same breath, you're still voting for the same people who don't want to see you
Yeah.
thrive.
Since the era of Donald Trump um, I've lost some friends, quite honestly. People
Really?
I don't even bother talking with them anymore because of like what you just said, Key. It's like, man, you're voting for me to lose, rights. And so, I've lost some friendships over that, unfortunately.
Wow.
Like what you're saying, that's a great point. But at the end of the day, to me, the first thing that everybody should vote on, in my opinion, is basic human rights. To me, that's where it starts. I have voted Republican before. Because for me, in the industry I'm in, monetary wise, whatever, it's better for me to vote Republican when it comes to different things.
Yeah.
That's the industry I'm in, and that's fine. I'll do that. But this to me comes down to just basic human rights.
Gotcha.
We got to start somewhere. Basic human rights, and people, and I'm talking these guys. I went to kindergarten that I'm still close to, and I grew up in a predominantly white community down in Key Largo, and my friends who I grew up with, two of them specifically, he's like a brother to me. But his wife, I mean, she's a staunch Trump supporter. Just
Okay.
talking like,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm thinking to myself, I can't sit and have dinner because it's unbelievable to me that somebody would still support that. It's just because to me it just boils down to basic human rights first. Let's start here. Let's start trying to get everybody equal. Let's start down to basic human rights. Treat everybody with respect. When you have a leader that doesn't even do that, that's the problem. Now I'm not saying Biden is the best thing that's ever happened to the Democrats and to the country. I'm not saying that because I don't know that to be true either. But what I do know is that as humans, okay, we gotta get on some kind of level playing field.
There needs to be a minimum standard. Right.
Yeah.
And these people that you said that are they? I'm curious. Like, let's just say I was that person, and like, are they even looking you in the eye? Like, because like I'm like, hey, I believe this, and it's the opposite. Like, I do not believe.
What a great question. No, they do it on Facebook.
Oh, of
They
course.
do it on Facebook.
Yes, they can hide
They do
there.
it on
Yes.
Facebook. Now we've all been together in settings, even over the last couple of years, and we're sitting there, and it doesn't even come up because because in their heart they know, but because they own a huge business and they're just voting for Trump. They think he's just better with the money. It's just like they're not even. It's very selfish at the end of the day. And one of my other really good friends that lives local, who's also very successful CPA, he owns properties now, very successful. Him and his wife, they vote against Trump. He said, I voted for him the first time. This is why I gained a lot of respect for him. And we've been friends since third or fourth grade. He said, I voted for him the first time, but after I saw what he did and how he treats people, I would never vote for him again.
Right.
So what I appreciated about that is that he got educated about it. Some people just don't even want to get educated. They just want to believe blindly.
It's wrong.
That's what shocks me. What shocks me is the blind, not even really digging in and figuring out. And social media is so influential now that you can get on here and say something, whether it's a bold-faced lie or the truth. Some people just gonna believe it.
Just catch it like wildfire. Yeah.
They're gonna run with it.
Yes.
It's what they do. But do they look me in the face? No, they get on Facebook and say stuff. And I've had some friends and other friends, and we've just kind of like, and be part of being what strikes me is part of being in America. You're allowed to do that. That's the whole point. You can vote where you want to.
Yeah.
But then when they had the nerve to say to me, something said to me, oh, you're not going to hang out with me and hang out with me because of who I voted for? I said, just the same to me as it is your right to vote for who you want to, it is my right to choose who I hang out with.
Period.
And you're not in that group. So
Right.
they want to make me feel bad. Well, you chose that. I'm choosing this. I'm choosing not to
You
have
know
you
what? And
as
I
a
know
part of who I am anymore.
it's interesting you're saying that. And of course, I'm not going to change the topic, but it makes me think. Let's just say this had nothing to do with Pride Month, anything LGBT community. It's like, let's just say the policies were just about African Americans that are not the same, and they're voting against you. Like, how are we even breaking bread and going on picnics together? Because you're like, yeah, Project 2025. And he's like, wait, no. But I don't want to go there. But but you're like,
It's a whole nother show.
You don't even like me. Yeah. But you're like, you don't even like me. Yeah. Let's just go to the.
That's true, though. True.
Yes. Let's see. Nero is chiming in with them comments tonight. Keep them coming. So he said, when they see us applies to everyone. Correct. Right? Yeah. Until we see everyone as a human, like you guys stated, there's going to be some issues. We still aren't on the same team as humans. It's almost like we're strangers in the same church.
Yeah. Spot on.
Right.
That's me. Spot on.
Right. The guy,
so true.
No comment. That was said concisely.
That was spot on. I mean,
and then Alice said, who you voted for is a representation of who you are and what you support.
Oh, you're trying to go deep. That's so true, though.
You know, it's interesting.
It's so true.
That you just
that's like a gut part, right?
Speaks to your character.
It speaks to your character. 100%.
The comment that you just said is that they own businesses. So some of it's about selfishness. And I have to be honest with you. Yeah. I have talking to people where they're like, you know what? Yeah, Trump and he's rude, but my money, my pockets are fat. Like, woo, I got the third vacation coming in the same month. So they're thinking more, about their coins instead of what their neighbor and stuff has got going on. So that's true.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
You said that part.
It's more important. It's more important to them. It's you have to where are things in level of importance. It's the way people do something when it comes to politics. And to me, the first thing off the top is equality. Gays, straights, blacks, Asians, whatever. It's equality. That should be the top of because everyone's got, strengths that could make this country better. Well, it doesn't matter what you are, gay, straight, bi. Everyone has strengths to make this country better. So it's got to be equality first. That's the way I think about it. And then after that, one day it'll be so nice to have people vote for the gays to vote different parties, vote against the party lines. Because why? Because now it's not about the equal rights anymore. Now it's about, this is what I believe. This is what I believe. This is the way I believe our country should go. Our country should go in this direction, this direction. Mm-hmm. But now nobody can, because now it's all about, losing rights. So now everybody's just like, let's just all vote. We got to get beyond that. Yes.
Let's see. Cash put up there, as a Black man that is sensitive about racism, I try to be tolerant of others' concerns and advocacy, as I want people to take my concerns seriously. That's fair.
I have a couple, man. I tell you, I have all types of questions. This is leading more, and you know what I'm noticing? This has to possibly do with sports, and I know there has been a big thing about, transgender athletes playing with the women and the men. And I know you said you're kind of old school. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So you know what? I'm sitting there going, the female swimmer, I believe it was, the swimmer who was a male, transgender, now swimming with I don't agree with that, because at the end of the day, to me, what you are biologically born to be, when it comes to that, that's what you should do. And that might strike some people. Some of my friends might be on here and go, "Oh my God, can you say that?" Yeah. But I've said it to them in their face too. And we've sat down and had conversations about it. I've said it, and it's all about, like you said, it's just about the way you're built. It's muscle mass. It's just different.
It is different
now. Like, start taking hormones and things, obviously the things change and stuff like that. I don't know about all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But at the end of the day, men are just built different than women. Right. Why can't we just accept that? That's just, To me, it's like we're just built different, you know. So I
It's a
just don't
fact.
get. It's a fact.
It's a fact. It's just a
I
fact.
don't know why people get off on that. What I think should happen one day is that as we get, you know, bigger, we grow, have a transgender Olympics where
Oh
Yeah,
everybody,
you saying that,
absolutely.
where
He and
everybody,
I had that conversation.
remember?
Yes.
Saying that.
that. I'm fine with that. Where
Yeah.
everybody's trans, you have their own. I'm fine with that.
Right.
But competing in sports that are specifically designed for men, indoor women, I think we should keep that, you know, the way it is.
I mean, and if I can add to that, no one's allowed to take, well, or should be allowed to take any type of performance enhancing drugs or anything, right?
Yeah.
If you're taking, say, testosterone, for example, in
Mhm.
effect, that could be viewed as a performance enhancing drug, and you know, I couldn't do that, you know, and so why should the next person? Again, I think that crosses the line from looking for equality to looking for special treatment to some
Yeah.
extent, right?
Yeah.
So you know, and that goes for, and it's not just a trans issue either, you know. I was in a situation the other day, and somebody said, you know, well, I have a medical marijuana card, and I want to weld, and I'm like, you can't weld under the influence. You're playing with fire. Like, you know, it's you know, we are trying to make these abundance of exceptions that don't make any sense when you think about it, you know, and so thinking about this, there's people that are literally on drugs. I mean, not in a bad way. You're on prescription drugs. You're being monitored by a doctor, and yes, be it as it may, the point is you are on something that takes you away from your natural state.
Yeah.
And therefore it's disqualifying in competition, like it should
Yeah.
be for everybody. Either it's
Yeah.
good for everybody or it's good for no one.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, and like you said, Kenny, that's one of those things that gets you the hate label, but it's not. Like, not at all. So yes. So,
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I think we should stay. Gender lines should not be crossed as far as what of how you were born. Even though you take meds or you take hormones and things like that, your body's changing or whatever. I get all that, but at the end of the day, boys were born boys were born boys, girls were born. And I have some transgender friends that are I'm close to. I love them. I would do anything for them. I love them. You know, but they probably would agree with me too. Like, I don't want to play football. You know, they probably would say that to me too. They'd be like, I ain't interested in that. They would get on and tell me the same thing. Like, I'm with you. You know, so
but and you know
but
how
I
I
get
look
it.
at it. When you have any type of league, any sports, there are certain requirements for your height, you know, for the weight, for the this, for the this. So if you're gonna put these barriers on those things, you wouldn't have, you know, two kids. Let's just say they were wrestling, you know, little kids wrestling. You wouldn't have a little skinny guy versus a real, you know, heavy set guy because it just would not be fair. So I
Right.
just don't understand on those levels. If we're already doing that to begin with, and we're putting people in categories,
right.
you know, why
Yeah,
is
it goes
it?
back. Yeah, it goes back to what you said earlier, kid. You hit it. It all goes back to being sensitive. I want the same things you got. I want to be that. I don't want you to discriminate against me. I want to be able to play. It all goes back to that. And like y'all said earlier, Liz said it too. You got to draw some lines somewhere.
Like
And
society needs boundaries.
Listen, the big thing now is that, you know, Caitlin Clark. Y'all know who Caitlin Clark is.
Yes.
My God,
Why you roll your eyes?
Liz rolled her eyes.
Yeah.
Why you roll your eyes?
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me fix my face.
So, but this goes back to when she came in to the WNBA. People were like, "Oh, she could play in the NBA," and everybody was like, "No, she can't. She's not playing in the NBA with these dudes. There's no way." But a lot of people were saying, "Yes," a lot of people. But it was that group of the going, "Oh, she's not. She's excellent at where she is, and go be the best WNBA player ever, if that's your choice." But you get cooked in the NBA. These guys that play in the NBA, you get cooked.
Right.
And so once again, that's just one of those things that we're
the same. The level's not
it's
the
not
same.
the same, like you said. And our society has just gotten off track with that kind of stuff.
Right. Right. So let's see. Z said, thinking about your pocket versus thinking about someone else's ability to live free. It also speaks to one's character.
100%.
100%.
Yeah, I was going back to that comment we were talking about.
100%.
So Alistair asked, would this also apply towards using the restroom?
Lord have mercy, Alistair.
Oh boy, here we go. Oh my goodness me. I'm not even drinking anything tonight.
It's funny.
Yeah. Like the problem is that Now there are gender neutral bathrooms everywhere. You can go to the one that's the single one, which is fine. But no, I mean that's going to the restroom and doing that kind of, we don't want to, that I know, Alistair.
No.
I don't think it's the part of the restrooms. I agree, but once again, he asked a great question because that was a huge thing back in the day.
Was a huge. It's still kind of the
It's
thing.
still kind of huge. I hear people talking about it now, like,
it's a thing.
And these men gonna go in there and rape the kids and stuff. And I'm just like, first off, tell me the story where you hear this happening at. When somebody's being crazy, they're gonna be crazy regardless if it said women's only, men's only. They're just going in back. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna tell you in reference to myself. I remember I was on some type of, I don't know if I was at Universal, I was at some theme park, and I had to use the bathroom. The line bathroom was so long for the female. You know how y'all women do. I walked right in the men. I was like, cover yourself. And I went right in the stall.
Yeah, they have stalls.
Yeah.
Go in the stall.
Right.
You're alone. Go in the stall. You're absolutely 100% correct. But like something you just said kind of struck a nerve with me, Kia. And I'm going to say this.
Okay.
Because like you said, that's another thing that kind of infuriates me a little bit, is that people thinking all gay people are pedophiles. Or like you just said yourself, he's like, oh, you think the guy's going to come in here and rape these? That comment, that alone is just, it's infuriating. If you look back in time, we could go CNN, whatever. I can't think of one gay man that has done something to somebody in a bathroom. Now, we can talk about a lot of other ethnicities or that have done stuff that's crazy and that, and bring that up. But that one is always like, why is that where people go?
You know why I think it is?
That's where people go.
You know why I think it is?
I always wondered that.
I think it goes there because people of certain communities feel that it's perversion. Yes, LGBTQ, all that is perversion. And since you're perverted, then guess what? These other traits of perversion are going to follow you too. That's who knows what you're into? You might be mutilating cats in the bathroom stall or whatever that looks like. Because I've heard it. Yeah.
That's 100% right. That's exactly right. You hit the nail on the head. It's because most people think that being a homosexual, LGBTQ, is perversion.
Wait, before we go to the top, I'm going to say this. No. And you know it's striking a nerve with me. Now, what bothers me? What bothers me about these people in their comments and different things is the simple fact that they're doing the same perversions, if we're going to call it, but behind closed doors. And then when you get religious, and I hate bringing religion into it, but they're like, oh, it's a sin. Well, for me, and please, for anybody who reads the Bible, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no per se measurement on sin. Like, okay, if I stole the bubble gum from you, then that's measured at a 32%. And now if I cheated on the test, that would be 100. No, but the murder is 1,000. There's no level in reference to the sin.
Right.
So you sinning every day. You doing all types of stuff. And it's like, especially when you hear the politicians, they're going on and on and on about all these different things. I forget the name of the politicians, but I want to say they have something to do with Florida because Florida's so fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I swear the guy had put all these type of different things in. He's trying to ban this gay, this gay, this gay, this. Come to find out that he raped the woman. He was having threesomes with his wife. And the reason so basically, the man and the wife, they're married and they have threesomes all the time with this other chick. The wife was like, oh, I got a business trip, this, that, and third. I can't make it. We're going to hold off on the threesome. He's so hot and horny. He goes and barges into the other woman's house. And she's like, what are you doing? And he rapes her. But this is the same congressperson, whatever, official that's putting laws in saying these perverted gays and blah, blah, blah. Like, you raping people.
The nail on the head that you said, something that's really the nail on the head, is that people measure sins at a different rate. That's the point.
And who are you to do that?
So in the divorce is sin. Divorce is sin. They say eating shrimp, you shouldn't eat shrimp, you shouldn't eat shellfish. I mean, so people, like you said, people measure sin on different levels. Sin is sin at the end of the day, but like you said, they measure it on different levels. That's a great point. But yeah, people doing a lot of stuff in the dark.
So let's see. We got a new commenter. Hi, Les. When athletes compete, it's on an even playing field, right? When a trans female competes with a cis female, the fairness is gone.
Yeah.
Right. Right. That eliminates that level playing field. Alistair was referring to the pedophile thing. He said that's just a dog whistle. And that's it. They're just calling all haters. So Les came in. She goes,
Yeah,
and
true.
another note. I love that. So I felt like a snap was in that. Right? And another note. I haven't heard about trans males competing to be a linebacker in the NFL.
Right.
So right.
Right. It's once again, I'm just on the playing field that let's keep that, the lines, that kind of stuff. Let's not infiltrate that. But I think as the world progresses and moves on, if we have transgender sports, I'm all for it.
That would be cool. Yeah. And so Nero said correct. Sin is sin. Nice.
It's such a sad. I want to leave that up there because it's very, very sad that, and you said it too, that we pick and choose what we want to complain about and cry
some
about.
acceptable sins and some unacceptable sins.
I had somebody say, I'm going, no. I had somebody say to me, well, I think, and like I said, I'm an independent. I could vote either way. All depends on what topic we're talking about. But it was the statement that just kind of kept me quiet. Like, so, and it's hard to keep me quiet. But anyway, the statement was like, I'm going to vote Republican, I believe. And I said, oh, well, why? What's going on? And the statement was because they're doing too much with all these, the Democrats are doing too much with all these gays and pride and this, and everything's rainbow flags, and it's just pushed in your face. You turn on the TV in the morning, it's a commercial of two men eating cereals, talking about Cheerios. What they gonna, you eat the cereal, and now all of a sudden you turn gay. Like, I cannot do this. And I'm looking.
The Bud Light commercial.
Yeah, but I'm just looking like, well, now what's happening here? Well, because it's just all this sin. Wait, time out. The whole political industry is sinful. I mean, like, we could just listen to all the things that Trump is doing. I mean, and not to make it about Trump or Biden, but Biden. Like, everybody's sinning. Why do you get to pick and choose which sin is where? Like,
who's sinning the worst?
Yeah, one of my friends I grew up with in a small town that I grew up in. I won't say the town. White guy that I grew up with. We were like best friends, and he's deep in the church. And I was just visiting home. I was home on Mother's Day, which was May, see mom and hang out. And so it's about a 2-hour drive from here. And we went out to have a drink and stuff like that. And he just said, he knows who I am and stuff. We had a really good, a nice conversation. And one of the things he talks about, he's very religious in the church and all that kind of stuff. But he said, Jesus was love. He said, I don't understand this other. That was the basis. Washing the women's feet of the whore. I mean, he loved everybody. So he could not conceptually understand why people carry on with these different levels of sin. We had a really nice conversation. He was just like, so he and his church, who was, very, no way, in that little town, they had a little pride parade and stuff. And he said, we as a little group in our church went out, handed out flyers. I said, really? He's like, yeah. He said, the church didn't agree we did it. But we went out there because we just believe that is what this world needs. Jesus was love. At the end of the day, at the core of everything, when you look at all the examples out there, that's what it was. And that's the conversation we had. And we had an excellent conversation. I love hanging out with him because, he lives his life, beautiful wife, 4 beautiful daughters, but just a great, hey, let's go back and do what Jesus. He loved everybody and helped everyone, no matter their background, no matter what they did. But here we are. And don't get me started on Christians. Do not get me started on Christians. Don't. Kia. Don't get me started on Christians.
I was going to get started, but I don't know.
Don't, because I think what people perceive to be Christian.
Come on now.
I don't even know anymore.
Come on now, bring it home now.
I don't
bring it home.
I grew up in a Southern Baptist church. I grew up Southern Baptist, strict. I have strict parents. My mom didn't play. My dad's laid back. They've been married over 50-some years because she's out there wilding out and she don't play and he's laid back. And that's why they make it. She don't play games. And she raised us hard in the right way and that kind of stuff. But like going back to what I said about that, it is about love. It's about acceptance at that lower level that my friend told me about. They didn't mention his name. But to me, that's what it's about. But Christians have muddied the waters. It's muddied the, you walk in a church now and you don't have on the right clothes, you don't look a certain part, they ain't got nothing to do with you.
They looking at you all kinds
They're
of
looking at you
sideways.
funny.
You're right.
Like when did that happen?
And you know what?
When did it
and
become
that,
that?
and once again, these are conversations that could kind of stem and go different places. But to add to that, it's like a person who would be looking like, man, you know, I'm kind of lost. I'm looking to maybe turn my life around. I want to maybe turn my life over to God. You know, I've heard about this thing. What do I do? You know, somebody just kind of looking. They may get pushed back, and I've heard many times people are like, wait a second, it's so much judging in the church. I don't know. Wait, I got too many tattoos. They're looking at me like I'm gangbanging. Wait, I didn't, you know, if you're not following this strict thing. And once again, when you talk about Jesus, he's love. That's all he was love. And of course, you know, he said different things, but that's what he taught.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's
Throughout,
like a lot of brick and brimstone, and I'm going to beat you down.
Yeah, Nero's right. Nero's saying topic for another day. But I will say it's absolutely 100% true. People ask me all the time. I say I'm religious. You know, I was raised in the church and stuff. Do I have a church home I go? Not necessarily. But to me, your relationship with God is personal.
That's personal.
It's a personal relationship. That's why you need to keep it personal. Your relationship with the church seems to be something totally different now.
Very corporate America.
Very different than what it is.
It is
and like what Nero said, I'm gonna stop here. Yeah. That's a whole other
level, Nero. Nero's right.
Some friends that I know.
I will say this. I just bought a book. I haven't read it yet, so you know, stay tuned for the book review. We're in an age of Christless Christianity. And so that's literally the name of the book. Is Christless Christianity, and I'm fascinated. The title alone captured me.
That sounds good.
That sounds really good. The title alone.
I'll read it. I'll pass it along. You guys don't need, you know, you can buy it. I guess we should support people like that, right? But I'm really intrigued because it says that that's the era that we're in, and you do have, you know, the so-called Bible thumpers are the most hating people. And they hate. There's so much hate in their heart. They literally want guns so they can kill everybody that's not like them. I just don't understand how that ties into Christianity.
How did we get here?
I'm not even just going to mention Christianity. I mean, I know some. You know, there's a lot of religions out there that they definitely, you can get killed for being gay. To this day, you go over. I mean, not even that. When you go overseas to Dubai and stuff, there were people that had the shirts with the rainbows and stuff. You ain't seen them again. Like, well, what happened to them? Like, they don't play. They don't.
Yeah, one of the things you asked me earlier, Kia, before we even got on, I think we were talking last week, and that's something you said to me, is like, you know, even today as I travel, and I'm going to Puerto Vallarta in October. But of course, I looked up Puerto Vallarta. It's very gay friendly. It's one of the gay friendly places in Mexico. But we're still in that area. Like, I wouldn't go to Jamaica. I heard Jamaica's not. Like to Dubai. Certain places, you know, a friend of mine went to Dubai actually, and said with him and his friend, there were two guys, they were not allowed to sleep in the same room.
Oh wow! Just because they don't want to make
money. Yeah. Because they were men, and they were not even allowed to. He said it was very. So once again, like you're saying, there's still some things out there, you know, in different countries, and we had talked about that the other day when we were talking. There's still some things out there that we need to be very cautious of, and you know, make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. And I do that all the time. When I travel somewhere that I've never been, I always Google, see what's going on, see the review, you know, that kind of thing. Where sometimes you don't always have to do that, but that's a great point.
My last question for you, because I know it's getting close to time to start wrapping up and everything, and last words with Liz. But my last question for you would be in reference to health. I know back when I was a little kid, you know, it was a big AIDS, HIV epidemic, especially in the gay community. In reference to current day, it seems like they don't talk about it so much. I hear the younger crowd saying, hey, they got pills and stuff like that, but it's still kind of running rampant. Are there more resources current day? What was happening in reference to the health in that community?
Oh, God, Key, that's a great question. My God, yes. So true. So now, you know, they have all kinds of drugs out. They have PrEP, number one, that most gay men are on PrEP. And what PrEP does is if you are have a sexual relationship with someone, you know, whatever it is almost 100% prevents you from contracting HIV. So that's what most gay men are on now is PrEP. Nowadays, because you can live forever with HIV because of Biktarvy and all the different types of meds that are out there, one pill a day. That's very true. That you can live your normal life out. So once again, with the younger generation, they don't think about it as much. They're out here doing what they want to do, while so to speak, because they know there's doxy prep. There's things you can. There's all types of things that you can be on. First of all, preventative, and then if you slip up one night, the next day you can go to the clinic and take something that prevents that from happening as well. So there's just all kinds of things out there that was never out there. But what a great question. AIDS is not talked about that much anymore because it rarely happens. It still happens.
Yeah.
But if you're on certain medication, you take care of yourself. It's a little bit more unlikely. I have one of my closest friends, obviously won't mention the name, been HIV positive for 20 years.
Oh wow.
20 years, living a healthy life.
That's awesome.
I met a friend in DC just a couple months ago. I can't believe you told me this. I just met him. He's a friend of a friend, but he was having problems with the fact that he had contracted HIV, but living a healthy life, but still struggling to understand it because it's a stigma.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's the stigma of it, that people are having a hard time understanding it. And the stigma's there because of, what happened years ago where they were dropping like flies. It's just really not that way anymore, but it's still out there. It's top of mind for any LGBTQIA, especially gay men. It's top of mind. But at the end of the day, if you're being smart, not out here doing, the difference is we can't get pregnant. If the gay men can get pregnant, there'd be all kinds of kids running around out here.
Oh Lord. Let's go ahead and get to these last comments with Nero, and then the last words with Liz.
All right. Let's see. I think we did up there. Yes. The Christian love is conditional.
Conditional. Good point.
Okay. He says, since we're talking about book recommendations, Love is Not Colorblind by Kevin Patterson, the author. Okay. So adding it to the reading list.
Like that one. Yeah, definitely. So no, I definitely want to make sure that we do last words with Liz, if we can.
Okay. Oh my goodness. I feel like there's so much to tie together.
So much.
So my takeaways from today, right, is equality it's not optional, right? It's what we are trending towards. We will get there. I have not lost faith. I refuse to lose faith. I think that as the generations kind of continue, I think that we're just going to be just one human race at some point. And I just remain hopeful about that. Other things that I just kind of wanted to pick up on. I think we agreed unanimously on here that, transgender sports, one day hopefully they'll have their own thing. But in the meantime, compete with who you were supposed to compete with, right? The very important thing that I think Kenny said that I don't want to just gloss over at all, right? I think that, and can you correct me if I'm wrong here? I think that gay men are attracted to men. I think that gay women are attracted to women, and I think pedophiles are attracted to children, and there are different things, right? So please stop conflating things that have no business being conflated. It's just you passing on your ignorance and your judgments, and ignorance is the right word because ignorance means not knowing, a lack of comprehension. Gay people are not pedophiles. Stop it. It's ridiculous, right? And other than that, I do want to thank you so much, Kenny, for coming on. There's so many things that if we can have him back on at some point, that would be fantastic. More and more questions. I do, and the one last comment I'm going to throw out there, and I think we just got a comment. Let's read that real quick here. Let's see. Alice said, that's a whole different show. Half the folks claiming to be Christians don't know the same Bible. In America, everyone uses the Bible, and Christianity push their own agenda. Trump for one. So yeah, he's literally selling a Bible. That's
people been saying, "Oh wait, who said this? Wait, what's going on?"
Happy birthday!
Yeah, my birthday tomorrow.
Happy birthday! Awesome.
And so, yes, and I will tell us that in last words of Liz too. I do think that the bad Christians are giving the rest of us a bad rap, and there is such a thing as a bad Christian, right? There's a bad anybody. I don't think that at the core Christianity is the teachings of Christ, period. If it's not based off of the teachings of Christ, then it's not Christianity. So whatever these people are talking about, that's another thing. Stop conflating that with the rest of us. All right. So Stop it. We're not mixing the two together. Ignorant people are ignorant people. They claim to be a lot of things. Christians is one of them, right? They claim to be Christians, they're not. They claim to be allies sometimes, and they're not. We just have to know the difference. You have to recognize when there is a wolf in sheep's clothing, and move past them. Do not get caught up in the madness, if you would. It's one love. Love wins every time. I think that we are, again, all humans. I would love to continue this conversation. For the politicians that are out there more worried about the colors of the lights on the bridge than they are getting gunned down in schools. That's a whole different thing, because we live
we could go on and on.
So that's a wrap for us for this Sunday evening.
The last two comments that came in.
Happy birthday, Kia. That's two comments. Okay, so we have part 2 to this discussion. I think people love who they love. They actually try to move away from straight, gay, etc. And Toya said, happiest of birthdays, darling. And so yes, for the Gemini season.
Just for me real quick, first of all, Kia, happy birthday. I hope you have a great day. But just to both of you guys, honestly, these types of conversations, I feel like, is what it takes to move us forward. So thank y'all for having the conversation. Thank you for the topic. I think it's great. I was excited to do this with you guys. So thank you. I would love to be back on again, but this is the type of stuff I think it takes. We start in little communities talking about the real issues. And I think it kind of just grows outward. So thank you both for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Love you, Alistair. Happy Father's Day. Bye, everybody.